Very interesting topic, which is something that seemed to be a very controversial topic in the history of the Moroccan Chachamim, and it happened to be also something that could be relevant nowadays. We'll see, not as much, but it could have some relevance nowadays, maybe with the army, but that's a very controversial issue. I want to concentrate more on the halakha by the Moroccan Poskim. So it says like this in the Gemara in Masechet Bava Batra Daf Het Amud Aleph. Rav Nachman bar Rav Chizda Rama Karga Arabanan. Rav Nachman bar Chizda, he put a tax on the Rabbanim. So Rav Nachman, so that was Rav Nachman bar Chizda. So Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak asks him, Avarta ade oraita, ade nevi, va ade ketuvi. You violated an isur de oraita, and you violated a pasuk from the Nevi'im and from the Ketuvim. From the Torah it says, Av hovivamim kol kedushav biyadecha. Moshe Rabbeinu says in front of Hashem, even when you like the nation, kol kedushav yubedecha. You have to keep the kedushim and takuli raglecha. Those are the Talmidei Chachamim. You have to always watch the Talmidei Chachamim no matter what. So that's what Moshe Rabbeinu asked the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and it seems to be Kadosh Baruch Hu agreed. From the Nevi'im, there's also a pasuk in Hosea, Gam ki itnu bagoim ata kabtzem vayechilu me'at mimasa melech v'sarim, that the clergy should be they should be patur from the maseh melech. They should be exempt from the different taxes of the king. And then there's a pasuk in Daniel as well. There's a pasuk in Daniel as well that also indicates that it's a little bit of a complicated pasuk, and it's actually in Ezra. I'm sorry, not in Daniel, in Ezra, and it says, "Menade balu v'haloch lo shalit limer ma'aleu." The people that are involved in building the Bet HaMikdash, and we learn from over here also Talmidei Chachamim also that are involved in holy work should be exempt from the taxes. So this is what the Gemara says. The Shulchan Aruch in Choshed Mishpat Siman Kuf Samech Gimel brings this halakha that Talmid Chacham should be patur from taxes, and the Rama brings it down as well in Yoredea Siman Resh Mem Gimel. Now, what's interesting over here is that the question becomes, what type of Talmid Chacham are we speaking about? Are we speaking about a Talmid Chacham that is learning day and night and doesn't have money? Where are you going to tax him from? He doesn't have the money. Or maybe this is a different halakha. This halakha is referring to any Talmid Chacham that even if he has money, he's working on the side. Nevertheless, since he has the status of a Talmid Chacham, it wouldn't be kavod Torah, it wouldn't be the honor of Torah to collect taxes from him. So this is the question at hand that all of the Gedolei Chachmei Ma'arav discussed to try to find an answer to this question. So one of the earliest sources to this is the Rambam in Perush HaMishnayot. Very interesting. And the Rambam in Perush HaMishnayot brings the Rav Yosef HaLevi, which is the Remigash, which was the Rav of the Rambam, and he was actually an Av Bedin in the city of Fez when he was 14 years old. He was a tremendous Gaon. The Rambam writes in one place that the amount of wisdom that he knew is not even possible to describe. So the Rambam writes in the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot that Perek Daled Masechet Avod, Hekila HaTorah miTalmidei Chachamim Chok HaMalchut min Arnonot. The Torah exempt the Chachamim from the kingdom's taxes and property tax and anything else, and Chayil and the supposed to be the army, what every single person has to pay. Vikvar Hore Rabbeinu Yosef HaLevi. which is that Imigash, already ruled, says the Rambam, Leish makom echad shehayu lo ginot upardesim, that he had fields and vineyards and orchards, sheyachahav ba'avuram avuram alpayim kesef, and he was obligated for taxes for them. Ve'amar shiftor machmat avuram, because he was patur. Even though the Rambam says a poor person would have to pay this tax, the Talmidei Chachamim didn't. So the Rambam seems to be clear, and he writes this explicitly, that the reason of this tax is to be exempt is because of kavod HaTorah. It's not honor of the Torah, and therefore he should be exempt from taxes. Now, what's the qualification of a Talmid Chacham? So there's a Rosh in a Teshuvah in Siman Chavav that writes that it has to be Torato Umnuto. That means the Torah is his main pastime. I wouldn't say pastime, it's his main involvement, and he learns most of the day. And although he works part of the day and he makes money, the Rosh says, as long as whenever he is free, he is still involved in learning, and as long as he is free, he is continuing, he gets right back to his learning, that's called Torato Umnato, and he does not pay taxes. However, the Meiri in Masechet Bava Batra Davchet argues. He says, no, a Talmid Chacham is someone who consistently learns and does not have any other source of parnasa. He is not involved at all in Yanei Olam Hazeh. He's only involved in the Torah of Hashem. So where is he supposed to get money from? And that's who the Torah, that's who we examine. Somebody who has money, even if it's Talmid Chacham, he's patur. He's chayav, I'm sorry. This is the machloket. Rav Ovadia Yosef in Yabia Omer Chelek Zayin, the last teshuvah in Yabia Omer Chelek Zayin, in Choshen Mishpat, the last teshuvah discusses this, and he brings both opinions, and he says clearly the Shulchan Aruch sides with the Rosh. If one says the Shulchan Aruch Ziman Kuf Samir Gimel in Choshen Mishpat, the Shulchan Aruch sides with the Rosh, and therefore the Shulchan Aruch says that if a Talmid Chacham is learning, he is exempt from these taxes, even though he is he makes a parnasa on the side. Now, the first one of the Chachamim that I have seen that has discussed this teshuvah was the Sefer Mishpat Ustaka B'Yaakov, a teshuvah written and signed by Rabbi Yaakov ben Sur and Rabbi Yehuda ben Attar. Yehuda ben Attar was one of the great Moroccan Rabbanim in the 1700s. El Kabir, he's buried right next to Lala Solika. Anybody ever goes to Fez, it's a tremendous place of that people go to mourn, and he was known as a tremendous tzaddik. And Rabbi he together on the Bed Din with him was also Rabbi Yaakov ben Attar. They both write explicitly that a Talmid Chacham, even if he's working part of the day, but he's learning most of the day, he has the exemption, and this is the halacha. And not only that, he was asked what would be with the sofrim, with those who are scribes, or not only sofrim, but also shalichet tzibur. Would they also have this exemption? So here he writes the following: although sofrim and shalichet tzibur are not necessarily Talmidei Chachamim, but since they are in the category of oskim b'melechet shamayim, he says they are exempt. And he says that we shouldn't be anything worse than the goyim. If the goyim already exempt all of their priests and anybody who involves himself in their avodat kochavim, they exempt them. We shouldn't be any worse than that. Anybody who is involved in melechet shamayim, the minhag in Morocco was to be poter. He says it's not the halacha, it's the minhag. He says that's the minhag. The halacha is Talmidei Chachamim only, but by sofrim and by sofrim and shalichet tzibur and melamdei tinokot, even though they're not necessarily in the category of Talmidei Chachamim, they would also be exempt. He has a story, the Mishpat Ustaka B'Yaakov, that was discussing a certain person in Siman Resh Nun Dalid. He discusses, he was a person who always sat in the Bet Midrash and learned, and he would also work on a side time. He had a large family, and he would always pay taxes. He would never ask for an exemption. But here he went into difficult straits. He always had to pay the taxes, and he had no question about paying the taxes. But he went into difficult straits, and he told himself, "Okay, I'm going to I'm going to pay, but he couldn't anymore. So he came to the Bet Din. He says, listen, if I keep on paying, I'm just going to collapse. My business is going to collapse, and I don't know what's going to happen to my kids. So Rabbi Yaakov Ben Sur writes a very, very sharp teshuvah and says that this person, everyone knows that he was all the time in the Bet HaMikdash. He might not be a tremendous Talmid Chacham, but he tried as hard as he can. And he's a Mishamesh of Talmidei Chachamim. And would it be better that we let him collapse and then the tzibur has to take responsibility? Very interesting, their perspective in Stakan. The tzibur is going to have to take responsibility. It's better that we make sure that he is well set up. And he says, anybody who even tries to take taxes from him, it's a very bad thing. And he says, the Balabatim tried to take the tax from him and we stopped them. And he goes on in Siman Resh Nun Daled and also Siman Resh Nun Hey, and he exempts them from all types of taxes. The Rabbi Yitzchak ben Walid in Siman Tzadivav in Vayomer Yitzchak Chelek Choshe Mishpat Chelek Bet Siman Tzadivav says the same thing. He's patur, and that's how he ends off. And he says it doesn't make a difference if he's very, very learned or not, as long as, and we learn it from Daniel. From Daniel, we see from the Binyan Bet HaMikdash, the pasuk that we learned it from in the Ketuvim in Sefer Ezra, that those who build the Bet HaMikdash are patur. So it's not only Talmidei Chachamim, also the Shlichei Tzibur and anybody who's involved in Melechet HaKodesh should also be exempt from such taxes. So to bring it to modern day terms, Rabbi Shalom Misas in Shemesh Umagen, in his later years, wrote 3 teshuvot about this. In Chele Gimel Yoredea Siman Yud Chet, Yutet and Chaf, he was asked by Rav David Teherani, a Talmid Chacham who lives in Beitar, whether a Talmid Chacham also has to participate in his daily shmirah of the yeshuvim. His daily shmirah, they had a rotation of making sure that there's no terrorists coming in of the yeshuvim. So Rav David Teherani said, in this case, the Talmid Chacham should be chayav, because it's not a tax that's given on the community that people should pay for the community. It's a tax given on each and every single person. And on top of that, it's because of Pikuach Nefesh. Pikuach Nefesh, we don't have these rules. So Rabbi Shalom said, number one, he thinks Rav Teherani got it totally wrong. He says, Uta'a. If you look in the Poskim, even if somebody had a personal tax upon himself, so he could pay it and then he could collect back from the government or from the community, or the community has to pay for him. That's number one. And number two, it's not right now you have a pikuach nefesh in front of you. Every shmirah, every army is that way. It's supposed to protect in front of things that might happen. So over here, it's something that might happen. So he says definitely in this case, a person is going to be patur, and he basically rejects all of the person's ra'ayot. There's a Rishon Litzion. Rishon Litzion was written by the Orachaim HaKadosh, a Perush on Yoredea, in Siman Resh Mem Gimel in Yoredea. It says the following: he doesn't understand. What does it mean, Talmid Chacham, Torato Umnato? If he has to do Parnasah because he has no choice to support his family, even if he works most of the day, but he's a Talmid Chacham, it's just he has no choice, he has to support his family, why should he not be considered Talmid Chacham? And if it's somebody who learns most of the day and just does nothing the rest of the time, when he's free, he goes watches baseball games or whatever else, so why should he be considered Talmid Chacham? It's a nice person, but why should we consider him exempt from taxes? So says the Orachaim HaKadosh, in his opinion, the classification is like this. A Talmid Chacham who works, even if he has a lot of money, but if he's working in order to save up, because it could be he would lose his money or he has medical expenses or whatever else, he still has the classification of Talmid Chacham as long as he learns most of the day. If he doesn't have money to support himself, if he works most of the day, he's called the Talmid Chacham. If he doesn't have money to support himself and he's just doing it for savings, he's allowed to work a minority of the day. But if he works just to get extra money most of the day, he doesn't have a status Talmid Chacham. And if he's somebody that, even on the minority part, he just works in order to get luxuries and yachts and cruises or whatever else, he could be that's fine, but he doesn't have the classification of a Talmid Chacham that will be exempt from taxes. That's the Orachaim HaKadosh's perspective. Very interesting. So getting back to Rabbi Shalom Misas, in Siman Yutet, he discusses this as well, and he says the minhag in Morocco was to exempt Talmidei Chachamim even if they work part of the day, and the Talmid Chacham who is part of the yeshuv has to pay for him, and he should be exempt. So that's a very interesting teshuvah. In Siman Chav, he discusses what about the drafting of yeshiva bachrim in the army, which is a very timely and controversial topic. So I'm just going to mention what Rabbi Shalom Misas says. He says that categorically, we have to thank Hashem that we have Talmidei Chachamim, that they are also helping in the Shmira. As a matter of fact, it's a halacha that's written in the Shulchan Aruch in Yoreh De'ah. The Talmidei Chachamim sit and they also help with their Shmira through learning. And he brings down Masechet. He brings down different sources to this, and he says that when there's a milchemet mitzvah that everyone has to go out, so on there you call that avodat Hashem. That's one thing. But when we're just in the army in order to protect what we have, and it's not necessarily right now you have the danger looming. Now everybody, obviously, we have Arabs waiting to kill us, and we wouldn't have the army. They would pounce all over us. But right now we're not calling it that people are going out actively and fighting everybody to protect. So that doesn't have a category of milchemet mitzvah right away. Furthermore, he ends off and he says that the army themselves agree that since there is no major purpose right now in the drafting of the Talmidei Chachamim, so why should it be that why should it be anan man an bnei Torah batrayu? What are we going to answer bnei Torah on these people? If they themselves say that there's no purpose. And he ends off and he says, "Ein lanu ela lismuach b'metziah gdola lekiyum haTorah v'hayeshivot." We should be happy with the great finding of having Torah and yeshivot around. And therefore he writes in the year Tavshin Nun He, which is 22 years ago, he writes that there's no question about it that Talmidei Chachamim should have the privilege of being exempt, and we should protect them in that way to continue the Torah. Chazak u'baruch.